Hello and welcome to the Noise Violation podcast. Today we got another very special guest. We have somebody who is officially 100 years old, Karel.
Magazine?
Welcome to the podcast, Karel.
What were you trying to explain? You had,
I'm introducing you.
yes. Oh,
Yeah.
you had, okay.
So, how would you like to be introduced?
That's fine. As
Well-
long as I know that it is part of the introduction.
Uh-huh.
So I didn't know about that.
Yeah, so
Of course, yeah.
So, Karel is from the Netherlands, is that correct?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And so, what was life like when you were growing up in the Netherlands?
I grew up in a fairly small town by the name of Roermond. And it means Roer, R-O-E-R, is a river. And that river was a pretty small river. It was not the famous Ruhr River in Germany where all the industry is.
Mm-hmm.
This was small. And the small one that flew out into a river, bigger river, larger river, and that is the river Meuse.
Mm-hmm.
And the name of my town, Roermond, means that the Ruhr came out in that bigger river.
Okay.
Yeah. And the town, like in the Middle Ages, at a certain development of a town or a province, they got all kinds of rights. The rights, for instance, to wage taxes on import of products coming up and down on that. And in the case of my town, Roermond, it was founded in the 14th century.
Wow.
Yeah.
What did your parents do for a living?
Pardon?
What did your parents do for work?
My father was a lawyer, and he also was the CEO of a corporation that was formed in the Big Depression.
Mm-hmm.
And because he was a lawyer, he had many of these farmers were his clients, you know.
Oh.
And they saw that their incomes went lower and lower and lower as the depression developed. And he decided with a couple of friends of us to organize a cooperation of egg production. But everything on that deal was incorporated. It was a corporation actually. And they could buy the chicken feed,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, cooperatively,
Yeah.
and also the sales were done that. And it is exactly in the matter of the sales and on the working with these people together that they get an enormous production of eggs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was it a successful corporation?
Very
Was he doing
successful.
well?
And they shipped the eggs mainly to England also, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And
Did you?
that was a big of the work of my father that was devoted to
Mm-hmm.
that part of work, yes. And what else would you want to know about that?
Did you have brothers and sisters?
Yes, I had one brother and two sisters, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Where did you fall in the line of the?
My older sister was the first of siblings, and then came I, and then came a younger sister, and then a still younger brother, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so when did you come to America? How old were you?
A lot has happened before ever came in America. But you may have understood already that I was pretty actively involved in the Second World War.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Yeah, please explain.
and so the first time I came into America was, yeah, I must try to make sense out of all this.
Yeah,
I
take your
have
time.
to, I have to tell that as the part of the story that caused me to go to America in the first place was exactly what you asked me, and that on that lifeboat that we had stolen with 4 students and carried 47 Jewish people with us to England.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So explain what happened there.
What's this boat called?
Yeah, this is a photo made before the war.
This is before World War II.
Yeah, before World War II.
And so, what was going on in your life that caused you to?
That made this happen.
Mm-hmm.
That sort of started all this. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What started all this was the invasion of Germany into the Netherlands. They needed the border where Netherlands, they situated on the North Sea, and they wanted and they needed our country to be under German supervision.
Mm-hmm.
So they invaded the Netherlands, and it was in May 40, yeah. Let's say in May 1940.
Okay.
And
So you were probably about
and
20 or 30
you know,
years old.
the Netherlands in the First World War had been independent. And so this gave us and other people in Holland the confidence that this World War, oh no, we will stay out of it. Nothing for us.
Mm-hmm.
Then we were rudely wakened up by anti-aircraft fire, shot shooting, and
Oh my gosh.
and the noise of the German airplanes coming in. And then in the early morning, you got already, there came lots of American soldiers, army came down as parachutists, and they also entered the Netherlands from the southern province, where my parents still were. Yes, and the fighting that ensued and the efforts of Holland to retain the upper hand took about 5 days.
Mm-hmm.
And in those 5 days, they started to occupy the Netherlands in its entirety.
Yeah, a military force
Yeah.
just policing it.
Yeah, and it so happened that I was a student in the town of Delft. This was the technical university.
Okay, yeah.
Whereas my parents still lived in the deep south of the Netherlands, in Roermond. And immediately the Germans had conquered that town, and we had no communication even with my parents.
Oh no.
In these 5 days that ensued, and that was fighting, and in the last day of that, in May 1914, I was sitting in the house of a friend of mine, Joe, I would call him, in Delft, and we could see how the terror bombing that the Germans did on the town of Rotterdam was proceeding, because Rotterdam was only about 15 miles from Delft where we were.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw the whole sky was light, the whole town was on fire. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we heard it, of course, in the radio broadcast also. Yeah, and we thought, oh, this is going the wrong way.
So was the over.
And at 6 o'clock in the afternoon, the radio said that the Dutch army was defeated finally, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and that the Germans were occupying the whole country. And I was sitting there with my friend, Joe Baumgarts, and I said, come on, Joe, let's go to England. And Joe said to me, no, wait a moment, let me eat my egg first.
So you were the real leader that wanted to get out of there.
So we took a bicycle and went to Scheveningen. That is the harbor of The Hague. The Hague is the capital of the Netherlands, and on the coast is town of Scheveningen, an ancient place for the fisheries. There are two big harbors where all the fishing boats come in and out and all that.
Uh-huh.
And so I thought, let's go there. Maybe the Scheveningen fishermen will sail out, escape to England, and we can go with them.
Yeah, you're trying to hitch a ride.
But it soon became clear to me that the Scheveningen fishers didn't do that. They didn't want to leave their families behind under German occupation. And so that was no go for us. And then we met another friend who was also a student in Delft and a student in mechanical engineering.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, look guys, do you see that boat there anchored on the coast? Let's take it.
Wow.
Which we did. And later on, when the history developed, we learned that they still had tried to capture us and prevent us from escaping. But it was already getting dark, so 9 o'clock in the evening. And yeah, it went okay. The first thing was how to start that thing. Yeah.
Uh-huh. So neither of y'all were boatsmen, or?
Well, this Harry Hack, the other friend, studied mechanical engineering. He had made one of these vacation efforts working, yeah, and that was on a diesel ship.
Yeah.
And he knew a lot about the diesel engines. Apparently not enough so to make this boat start.
So your main goal was just to go to America?
Of that,
England.
an old fisherman came us and said, hey, what you going to do? He said, we want to take this boat and go to England. Well, I said, you need to start the engine, eh? Yeah. So he helped us to start the engine. And then the sound of the diesel engine became audible, poof, 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 poof. Then I looked out of the manhole of the engine room or compartment, and I saw all these legs coming on board.
Are the legs of people?
Of people, yeah. I only saw the legs but from my cramped position there. And I said, boy, that's going to be a full boat. Yeah.
So what, was it planned for all these people to come out, or they just got word that
And who are the
boat
people?
was
I
leaving?
heard the diesel engine go off, go.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, no, hey, wait a moment. They want to go out. Yeah.
Somebody's leaving. Let's.
And
Yep.
indeed, you will be surprised. But the only boat that sailed out that night was the boat that we had stolen. Yeah. Stolen.
So who were the people that
And
joined
we
you?
had 45 people on board. Yeah. Can you imagine 45 standing? No, there was no sitting place.
Is there a cabin underneath here?
What's that?
Is there any way to get like a cabin underneath it, or is everyone just standing on top of the boat?
Oh, no. This is a boat a photo taken in peacetime. And so the people there standing on board are, of course, the crew of that boat.
Mm-hmm.
But we had nobody of the crew of that boat on board. Yeah. And so we took off, and gradually became dark, and in the beginning we couldn't find out actually how that diesel was working, the cooling. We had not found out the cooling system yet.
Mm-hmm.
So we looked at that and opened a couple of valves, and we found out the cooling system. And then it really went pretty well. Yeah, chuk, 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 chuk.
Yeah. Who was navigating? How did you know where to
I
go?
did a lot of the navigating. Mainly wasn't also a consensus type of navigating. We all knew, of course, that across the North Sea there was England.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we had to go to.
Yeah.
And a few other people on board, they wanted the boat to go back to Zeeland, to the southern province, that the fighting was still continuing.
Mm-hmm.
But we said they will never be able to keep Zeeland in our hands. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then what do we do? So we went on straight on to England.
How long of a ride did that take?
Our voyage was ended when a British torpedo, a British destroyer, yeah, the Venomous. Yeah. Incidentally, that the whole story, if you look at it on the internet, on
Mhm.
the destroyer Venomous, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you've seen a lot of information on that. Anyhow, the Venomous picked us up and took the boat on to England,
Mm-hmm.
and we guys all on the deck.
Yeah.
And
Were you excited to see that boat?
if you see the photos that were taken of that trip,
Mm-hmm.
then you could see on that torpedo, on that destroyer, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you see all these people nicely dressed, hats on, necktie on,
Mm-hmm.
like going to a tea party.
Was it a relief to see that boat? Did you know they were the good guys? That they were going to take you in, or did you think it
Well,
was?
of course, this was a British destroyer,
Mm-hmm.
and he saw a boat coming from Holland. So obvious, they have to investigate what's going on here.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And when they heard our story, then they said, "Okay, come on, got a cup of tea,"
Oh.
and they brought us to Dover.
Mm-hmm.
And
So what happened once you
in
got
Dover,
to Dover?
we were actually provided hospitality by the Dutch emergency committee.
Mm-hmm.
The Dutch emergency committee, okay. Ja, en daar we waren in Engeland. The leader of the Dutch Emergency Commission, his son, Martin Knottenbelt, he was studying in Dover, in Oriel College of Dover. And he told the story to the provost, Sir David Ross, and the provost said, if they want to, these boys can come to Dover now and we can give them hospitality, and if they can see what they wanted to do. Yeah. We tried, first of all, the Dutch naval attaché and all the ships of the Dutch Navy had also gone over to England, but they were not in a position to employ Dutch volunteers who had never seen a ship in their lives almost from the inside. So the leader, the boss of that was the Dutch naval attaché.
Right.
And he kept contact with us and said, okay, if you can get there and to Oxford, that's fine. So we were in Oxford, and we actually, for 2 weeks almost, we led the life of a student in Oxford.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Very nice, yeah. I liked it. I loved it. I would have loved to study in Oxford. But then we cannot take the hospitality of the family of Sir David. So let's go and try to find work. So we found work as agricultural workers. And our task was the hoeing of sugar beets.
Okay, it's hard work.
And the hoeing of sugar beets is not for everybody. The British used mainly poor Irish farm workers for that job. And we got blisters on our hands and all that. The weekends were nice. We went with the farmers to the Saturday evening pub,
Yeah.
throwing darts,
Right.
and had a beer together. So that was all very nice. But after a little while, I thought, no, this is not for us. And we had earned a little bit of money, and I went with the train to London, and I had heard that the whole fleet, you could say, of the merchant navy, of the Netherlands, consisting of about 900 ships, were coordinated by the Netherlands Shipping Commission. And they take care of the crews and the engineering, the repair of these boats, because from all over the world they came together actually to this center. And so they, when I was there, they just had a captain of a small steamship. The steamship was called the Jupiter, but it was only 1,400 tons. And you know that 1,400 tons is not a very big one.
Right.
Oh, Jason,
Yeah.
could you please find me the photo of the engine room?
Yeah.
Of the, yeah, that would be nice.
So as you're over there
Yeah.
at this point,
Oh yeah, they are in my calendar.
Readily available.
I'll wait for this until I tell you about what my job was going to be. And the captain of this ship came there. He looked not like a seaman at all. He didn't even have a sailor's cap on. He had just a Basque cap on. But his assistant engineer had died by machine gun fire from German F-ships. So
Oh, man.
he needed an assistant engineer. And when he heard that I had studied in Delft,
Mm-hmm.
without actually knowing anything about it, but he said,
Yeah, your resume was good enough.
we can teach him to be assistant engineer,
Mm.
which was really true. That's the way it went.
Mm-hmm.
So then I was assistant engineer, and I was working in this engine room.
This one on the cover here?
I made a painting of that.
Wow.
You can see there's a triple. Yeah. And I was very happy on that work. Even though we sailed on the east coast of England and we got air raids all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and the Germans tried to torpedo and bomb us. But I was very happy there, standing in that engine room.
Is that all coal or steam powered?
Huh?
Is it coal or steam?
It was coal,
Mm-hmm.
coal and steam, yeah.
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 So when you were working, did you have contact with your family back at home?
No,
It's
no.
like you just went off and then
Yeah,
lost all contact.
It took some business because we had an uncle living in the States,
Mm-hmm.
and through connections that they have with Aldous Huxley, my aunt's eldest sister was married to Aldous Huxley, you know, the writer Aldous Huxley.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that's how they found out that everything was okay with me. That they're sailing up and down the Irish coast. And then finally, at the end of that summer, we crossed the Atlantic to Canada. Yeah.
Yeah. So from when you left Netherlands, how long until you
What is that?
when you left Netherlands, how long were you traveling around in this
That was
engine room?
the best part of a year.
Oh.
That's it. That all started in May, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and I was on that ship until February 1941.
And so now you're sailing into Canada?
And I have been sailing to Canada and also back again.
Oh, okay.
But not that I stayed in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
But in February 41, due to my connections with the Netherlands, the Netherlands fleet ambassador, yeah, what do you call it? Due to my connection, I had been taken in as a recruit in the Royal Dutch Navy.
Okay.
Because all the ships of the Dutch Navy were already operational under British command. So I could be, and I became the first radar operator in the Dutch Navy. Yeah,
Oh, congratulations.
that was very nice. And we had a nice ship, the Jacob van Heemskerk.
Mm-hmm.
It was about 4,000 ton ship, was a cruiser, specialized in anti-aircraft, providing anti-aircraft protection. It had the crew of 400, I said that already, and it had sailed over to England before it was actually completely finished. So when it arrived in England, she received the full gunnery, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that provided by the British Navy, and they finished that ship. that way. So when it became February 1941, the ship was commissioned by Her Majesty Queen Wilhelmina of the Netherlands.
Mm-hmm.
And then he started first the work-up period that you have to train and try to do all the things that would be asked of the ship later on.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then our ship was operational under the British Navy, under Western approaches, they call that, which is the Atlantic, of course. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that found me doing the job with much pleasure, yeah, in, up and down on the Atlantic,
Mm-hmm.
because that ship had been specialized in anti-aircraft protection. So as an anti-aircraft protection, it served to help and provide that specialized help of the incoming convoys,
Mm-hmm.
incoming and outgoing.
Lots of turrets
Yeah.
and guns on there.
Yeah, so we were operational in the so-called Western approaches, and the radar work was lovely. I heard it. Do you know some anecdotes of that too?
Yeah, so you really enjoyed all your time at the sea.
Once we were protecting a convoy that was sailing up the Clyde, yeah, northern river, between England and Scotland.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And with a friend of mine, I had gone, well, our ship was anchored in one of the lochs, Loch Inverary in Scotland. We were allowed to go ashore and to join South, taking walks and all that. So we were walking there in a sort of a park-like land, and there came a Scottish gentleman with the kilts, you know, and yeah, what are you doing here? Oh, he said, we are walking a little bit, yeah. And then, what is your ship? He's asking. Oh, that's she there laying in Loch Fyne. Oh, and who's the captain of your ship? Yeah, I said, the captain of our ship is Squire. And that is the Squire is what the English, the Dutch lower nobility, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He's Squire van Halte. Oh, he said, and does your captain know that he's anchored in my fishing boat?
Oh no.
Oh boy.
I said, no sir, but we all tell him. And when we came back on board, immediately the captain in his beautiful motorboat went to pay a visit of honor to the Count of Inverary, yes.
Yeah.
And we did very nice one. We went to Iceland. We went on a force to fire all the oil works in the northern part of Norway.
Mm-hmm.
That was a raid to Norway that he had done. And another was very, very good work. It was nice work. He had one, if you want anecdotes of these things, yeah.
Yeah. Please elaborate. Yeah.
One of my beloved memories of the radar is that we were steaming in the Bristol Channel. You know what it is? The Severn comes out from West England into out into the Atlantic.
Mm-hmm.
That's what channel. And we were escorting an English troop ship. It was loaded full with troop ships. And we were working on the radar, and suddenly I saw on the radar an echo. No, radar is actually, you send out radio type emissions,
Right. Mm-hmm.
and they echo against anything that your antennas are lined up with,
Mm-hmm.
and give information back to the ship.
Mm-hmm. So that feedback.
So in this case, I suddenly saw an echo, but darker and bigger, very fast. So we say at this approaching speed, it is not a ship. It must be aircraft. Yeah.
Mm.
So we made the alarm, and we contacted the enemy, the Germans, and we let go with everything we had. Yeah, and exploding guns in the air.
Oh my
And
gosh.
the German wisely turned around and went back to Germany.
Scared them off.
Oh my God. That's
Um,
crazy.
And the captain, no, that's not crazy. That was well deserved.
Yeah, definitely.
It's the right move to
And
make.
the captain of the troop ship, he thanked us by wireless, and he said we felt very safe under your umbrella. Yeah,
Oh, great.
that was okay. That was part of the work that we did on that ship. And then came a time that they needed more officers, and they selected some people who got officers training. And then I became an officer in the Dutch Navy.
Okay. Yeah.
And the beginning time of that, I didn't feel very happy, because I was brought under the leadership of the senior Dutch naval liaison officer, and my task was to decode all these signals that came in.
Oh my gosh.
And
Like
I had
Morse
to-
code.
And I had to sit in the office of the British Admiralty,
Mm-hmm.
and I hated it.
That must have been stressful.
Yeah. Of course, there also are anecdotes that are
Can
also
you
interesting.
share a code that you cracked?
The British had one officer, the chief naval liaison officer, and he was Sir Gerald Dickens, and his nickname was Dickie, but he was a great grandson of Charles Dickens, the writer.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And I sometimes had to visit his office and all that. And so, one anecdote was that I got a request from one of the Dutch parts of the Foreign Department. And he said, Dahmen, you got to help me. I said, what's the trouble? Well, he said, when Admiral Cook, yeah, was in the Indian Ocean, commander of the Indian Ocean, your Queen Wilhelmina, yeah, our Queen Wilhelmina, had given him a large order, Navy order, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we have omitted to send all that kind of thing to India, yeah, where he was starving. And now he heard that the Queen, our Queen, had asked him for tea. and and she will undoubtedly look at at it at it insignia that you get. He was commander. What do you call that? Anyhow, a very high ranking level commander for honor. Nothing special, but there it was. And then he said, and we forgotten to send it to him. And doubtlessly the Queen will look at that and says, when did you receive your paraphernalia? Yeah. And then you have to say, I haven't. So that, and then your Queen Wilhelmina was not very easy for people who made a mass of fakes.
Oh no.
Tough cookie.
So then they sent me to clear that up for them. So I went to Sir Gerald Dickens, and he said, yes, and Commander Hoop is having tea with the Queen, and the Queen will undoubtedly ask him about his ribbons, and what shall we do? And Admiral Dickens said, don't worry, boy, we'll fix it. And so they sent news to Dirk, foreign command, to fix this, yeah. But the Queen would never know about that.
Did you ever meet the Queen?
Huh?
Did you ever see her or meet her?
Yeah, because when, in the first place, when the ship was commissioned, it was done by the Queen. So
Okay.
it was a great, wow, thing. And when I became an officer, I had to swear everlasting alliance to the Queen in her hands.
Mhm.
She came to the Navy office to award me the rank of sub-lieutenant.
Wow.
That's a high honor.
It was very low rank, but very.
That's really cool, Karel.
It had one thin stripe here on the elbow. This incidentally, the lowness of my rank was sort of amusing. That was the war in the Pacific, yeah, where the Netherlands colonies of the Netherlands Indies were at the time. The Japanese invaded the Netherlands Indies also, yeah, and they had a sea battle with the British and the Dutch command, and the Japanese won that sea battle. And how did it? Yeah.
So,
What was I telling about it?
so at what point did you come to America? When was that?
Oh, that in America. That was after the war.
So after the war is over,
I mean,
and then everything
one
settles
time-
down.
One time I said during the war I had gone to Canada, and one time also to New York. We had some repairs done to the ship in the Brooklyn Navy Yard.
Mm-hmm. What was your idea of America back then?
Yeah.
Was it?
And in the period of, that was actually the only time that I had in America, that early
Mhm.
part of the war, yes,
Yeah.
yeah. Later on, we're still talking about the war, but because in all the wars will come to a conclusion, and there is also this period after the war.
Yeah. So, tell me the end of the war. What was it like?
Coming at the end of the war,
Yeah,
But
when it was
with
coming to an
respect to
end.
the United States, let me think first of all. Oh yeah, at the end of, towards the end of the war, let's see, we're talking now about 1943. The, the Netherlands expected that the Allied approach would set Netherlands free, and then at that time we could volunteers who wanted to join a Dutch to be instituted or to be formed regiment of Marines, and you can imagine these kids in Holland had been under dictatorship of the Germans all the time.
Right.
Go, America, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something special.
That you couldn't keep them from volunteering and going to America to be trained as Marines at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
They're well known.
So they still wanted to fight, but just get
Well
trained
known in
over.
Marine sectors, yeah. So they have been, and I had to sort of coordinate that a little bit and install all that and spawned out the courses. And then I had another assignment. Do you know about the American Seabees?
CBs? No, I don't.
Those are the construction battalions of the United States Navy.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And since I had always been in the engineering part of it, I thought, let Dahmen now be trained by the Seabees, which I did, and I had 3 months at the Seabees, and wow, I learned a lot there. It was very good training ground. It was so that the first battalion of construction battalions was a man named Red Sylvester.
Mm-hmm.
He was a captain with red hair, you can see,
Yeah.
Red Sylvester. And so while I was training there with these boys and trying to learn surveying, land surveying and all that, there came this Captain Red Sylvesters there, and they had heard that there was a Dutch CB coming up. So he let me come over, and he said, I hear that you are the first Dutch CB. I said, yep, sir, I've heard the CB. Well, I said, I was the first American CB. I'm going to teach you something. And I thought, my gosh, there I get it. Yeah, further technical training, no, I can't see. I'm going to teach you to make lobster thermidor.
Oh, yummy.
Yes, that's how I became a CB.
Do you remember when you got the news that the war was over?
But the war was over.
Yeah.
Well, the war was not over all at once.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this gradually worked up to us. You will be surprised that even in the army, from all over the world, when the war broke out, that Dutch people, men people, converged onto England and became a brigade of the army.
Mm-hmm.
And that is called the Dutch Irene Brigade. Irene was the name of the second lady, the second crown princess from Holland, yeah. And so, what was I going to say about that? Yeah, and they fought a D-Day,
Mhm.
and they had losses also. There were quite a few people killed. Yeah, but they did good job. Yeah, they did a good job.
So looking back on all your experiences and where you are now in your life, um, how do you see the world picture as it is? Just like the countries or tensions or President Trump.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts
But
on?
pretty gloomy.
Hmm. Yeah.
Uh,
Well, especially with the coronavirus, it's scary right now.
That's scary.
Hmm. But do you have any advice for people on how to live their life or lessons that you learned? Um,
I think, as far as I'm concerned,
hmm.
I did, and I came out and I did all kinds of jobs and studies and God knows what, all actually as it came. I mean, my life as well not only was planned, and then you become this and then you study that and then you, but I just took where nature put me, yeah, and tried to make use of that for the next step if necessary. Yeah, that is so. So, so I'm not one of these happy people who at rich parties and get their sons to study in universities or fill in with work of the parent, of the father's business or things like that. I just had to do it where I was placed by fate. Yeah,
You worked from the ground up.
yeah, yeah,
Take it one day at a time. I love that.
yeah.
Do you have any secrets for longevity? How do you think you live to be 100?
I have no idea.
It just happens.
You exercise daily.
Yes,
Hmm.
I did that.
You eat healthy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's probably the reason that they become 100. Yeah.
And you're positive. You're always very positive.
I led a healthy life. Yeah,
Mhm.
that still helped.
Never
That really
smoked
helped.
or smoke or drink excessively or on occasion?
Oh, occasional part of sickness. Yeah?
Alcohol or cigarettes or.
Well, yes, I smoked. I smoked like a chimney,
Oh,
Yeah, on sea.
and maybe this is an anecdote also. I knew that was bad for me, and I wanted to stop it, but I couldn't. Yeah, there's so many of us.
Mhm.
And I had learned that in order to start a non-smoking career, you should really see yourself as a non-smoker person, a happy, healthy, non-smoking person. With that in mind, or with that still in my backlog, I had in my present occupation, when I was still working, I had to do a job in Japan in our carbon black industry there. And, oh yeah, and it was kind of difficult. It was part technical, part political. You have these things, when you have an American parent company and an overseas
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
an overseas daughter company. So I thought that I had finished that very well. I mean, without too much war in between the Allies and the forces. And so I was I had a reservation back to the States on Northwest Airlines from Tokyo. and the last, the Japanese company wanted to be a little nice to me, yeah, and had taken me out for lunch in Tokyo. And during that lunch, there came a message that the flight from Northwest Airlines had been cancelled. So the Japanese management said, "What would you like to do? Would you like us to put you in a motel and then you can take the next flight perhaps? Or shall we overbook you on Japanese Airlines?" So I said, "Japanese Airlines." Yeah. And normally in my rank, I travel economy. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
You too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there I went and they had to rebook, and I went into the Japanese Airlines, and going to the economy class, I said, I was first class.
Wow.
So I said, that's nothing against that. And they had a wonderful Japanese dinner, I remember. And when they had finished that, and then I was relaxing in my chair, and I pushed out my cigarette, and I said, "And this is the last cigarette I'm ever going to smoke." And it was, I've never smoked a cigarette.
Wow.
That's great.
Great. Awesome, Karel.
Yeah. So what would be what do you think some of the most rewarding things in life, just in general, like what really lights you up, or
Yeah, I think the most rewarding thing you have in life is a wonderful family. Yeah, that is everything. Yeah, and not only that is a wonderful family, but that you have the joy, the lucky part of it also, that you can always have your family not necessarily with you where you are, but always anyhow that you have your family and you come back home and you do things with your wife and you retire and you make wonderful trips to Italy and everywhere.
Yeah. That's sweet.
yeah. Well, I just want to thank you for your time
Together with work is very important also.
to really find reward in work.
Yeah. And I had a pretty nice position in working, yeah. I could tell sometimes about things about those things too.
Yeah, well, I just want to thank you for your time, Karel, and I just want to acknowledge you for living an extraordinary life and being noble and courageous and, being a hero. You really helped out a lot of people, and I hope your story inspires others. And
You asked me also how it came that I came into the United States.
Yeah.
That was because when we had gone back from Indonesia to Holland, because of my daughter having gone to school there, I tried to find a job, of course, and there was an American firm that was setting up a new industry in the Netherlands. That's the carbon black industry. And they went to the personnel chef of Exxon, of Stanweg Eastern actually, and asked them if they could perhaps fit somebody who used to work with Americans and who that could be better smoothly get a man introduced from Holland into the American plant in Holland. And then that guy said, I got just the man for you. That was I then.
Yeah.
And I stayed 7 years in Holland operating that business. That in itself is a lot to tell about. But then after the 7 years, the parent company in the States needed to set up a process engineering department.
Mm-hmm.
And they called me over to do that.
When did you come to Austin?
After when I retired, I was working from Houston. So that must have been, now. As soon as I retired, and it was been, 70, 73. And Austin, you mean?
Mm-hmm. How long have you been in Austin?
About 2000.
Since 2000?
Yeah,
What's your favorite part
because
about?
before that time
Yeah.
I was in Houston.
Yeah. What's your favorite part about living in Austin?
Huh?
What's your favorite part about Austin?
What do we think about it? Well, sometimes people ask me and said, "You've been all over these places," and then God knows down there. Where's the place where you really want to be best? And they say, right here in Austin. That's true.
I agree. It's my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your time. I think that's a great place to end, and I appreciate your stories. And everyone out there, have a great day.